So today I'm with Dr. Elizabeth Schwartz, known as Libby, the powerhouse behind Movement Mantra. Libby has a doctorate degree in physical therapy. She is a certified strength coach. She's a yoga teacher and a nutritional guru. And did I mention that she celebrated her 31st birthday by crushing 31 miles run? Whew. Saying that is making me feel tired right now. So buckle up, folks. Get ready for inspiring chat with Dr. Libby. Libby, thanks for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. This is wonderful.
How you been?
Been doing great. Busy, but good. All good things.
So what inspires you to get into fitness, health, and all that?
Oh, man. That is a long story. Shall I start from the beginning?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, kind of growing up, I wasn't super active, I would say. I was much more of kind of a bookworm. But along the way, I had a lot of things kind of happen to me in life's journey as things go, of course. So when I was freshman in undergraduate degree, getting my undergraduate degree at University of Tennessee in Knoxville, I gained my freshman 15, like a lot of people kind of do. You're going, out of the house and eating kind of unhealthy because it's the first time you get to eat whatever you want. But that was kind of a rude awakening for me. And so then I started to get into the gym and I started running. And I would really got into running. And I used it as a way to lose weight initially. Mm-hmm. And eventually it kind of became more of a bad habit, I would say. Or at least there was a negative alongside of it because it became more orthorexic and anorexic. And if people don't know what orthorexic is, it's basically over-exercise alongside the under-eating. And so I went through this phase of my life where I thought that I was being really healthy because I was, eating super clean, the little food that I did eat. And then I was working out a lot, running mostly at this point. And I studied abroad in New Zealand. I, had all of these things kind of going on in my life. And that was like my first introduction to fitness. I kind of got obsessive about it. When I came back to the United States after having studied abroad, I ended up working at a health shop in Knoxville called Eddie's Health Shop. And while I was there, I started working with the people around me. He hired a lot of people that were collegiate athletes or post-collegiate athletes of the UT track team. And I started to look at these people and I was like, oh my gosh, they're fit. They're so strong. They eat a lot of food. And I want to be like that. And so that's when I started to get into weightlifting. And I started to play around in the gym. Initially, I would just take my weights over to the corner and I was super self-conscious about what I was doing. But I started to lift weights. I started to learn more about the benefits of strength training. And at the time I was still running, but I was finding more balance. And then eventually there was a yoga studio right next to the health shop that I worked at. And I was like, oh, I'll pop in one day. They had a, New Year's Day special or something. And I fell in love with it. It was another part of the movement puzzle that I was putting together for myself. And I was like, yeah, this is something that I also really love. So then I had the strength component, the cardio component from running, and then this mobility and kind of artistic component within dance and like a vinyasa flow. And throughout all of this, I was in my undergraduate degree. I was pre-med initially. I took organic chemistry.
Oh,
and
well, I did not know that.
Yeah, I took organic chem, and it was the hardest B that I ever got. I was, the overachiever that I am. Really wanted all A's, and I got a B, and I worked really hard for that B. And I just remember somebody telling me, like, oh yeah, if you think this is hard, just wait till you get to med school. And it's basically taking 5 organic chemistries all at the same time, plus you're doing all of these other things. And I was so stressed out that year that I just thought, there's no way, I can't do that. So I thought about going to PA school and becoming a physician's assistant, but I love travel. And so I didn't want to limit myself in a PA position because it's not an international internationally recognized position. There's not
So physician assistant we're talking about.
yeah,
here.
a physician's
Okay.
assistant, correct. Yeah. So in Europe or New Zealand, Australia, any other places, it's not really a job that you can have. There's not really a position for that. So I started to think about that, and I was like, well, what else can I do? So I still shadowed a PA, and then I shadowed a registered dietitian because at that point I had added a nutrition minor to my undergraduate degree of food science. And I shadowed a physical therapist. And out of all three, I was like, okay, the PT I can get on board with. It was a more active job. It wasn't just sitting in front of a computer or just handing out medications to people, because that really didn't align with the way that I see health and I value health. And so that then put me along the path of going to physical therapy school. And so that's kind of the beginning part of the journey, I guess, up until going to PT school and got accepted into UTC.
So physical therapy, because you chose that because it was has something to do with the a movement kind of thing and all that kind of a thing. And also, I mean, you are a physical therapist. Actually, you have a doctorate degree in physical therapy.
Yes,
now.
that's correct.
So you physical therapy, and then you have a degree in nutrition and food, correct?
Yep.
And then yoga.
Yeah.
So how you basically incorporate all that in your practice now?
Yeah. So in my practice now, I really take a holistic approach. And I say holistic a lot of times to people. I say WHOLE, like the whole person. Not, sometimes people get a little woo-woo with the holistic stuff. But I really try to take a very individualized approach. So for each person, I initially approach it probably with a fairly traditional PT mindset. We sit down, we have a conversation like this, discuss the things that have been happening or what they've been dealing with, old injuries or, goals that they have for themselves, go through a movement exam, looking at their strength and their mobility, any special tests that I need to do to rule things in or out. And then from there, based on what those goals are, what their history is with various things, we start to come up with a plan that's very individualized. And so then with some people, I work with, mobility is a really limiting factor for them. Mm-hmm. So then I use a lot of the principles from yoga to apply with them, and we go through different movement flows that they can incorporate into a daily practice to be able to help with that. Then, maybe there's a strength component. And so then the background that I have with strength training comes in, and I have a lot of people who want to, maybe they're a CrossFitter or doing a high rocks or some sort of strength training, and they have had these old injuries that, now are creeping up on them, but they still want to be able to do the lifting that they love. And so then we work with that component, and I still, take the bits of pieces to put them together. And I also work with a lot of runners. And so then, the runners are notoriously bad at mobility and strength training. They just want to run. I understand that because that's where I came from.
Yeah, you are a runner too, because I think last time we were talking about you run really, really long time. So I'll ask you about that too. So movement mantra, What is that?
Movement mantra. So if anybody's familiar with a mantra, it's basically something that's repeated over and over again. And so for me, movement is my mantra. It's something that I repeat daily. And really, I think at a baseline level, movement is the only consistent. There's kind of a Buddhist teaching of change is the only constant. And so for me, I kind of think of it as movement is the only thing that is constant, even on a molecular level. Our things are moving around, even when we feel like we're still. So movement for me is the physical component. It's kind of taking on all of the things that movement is within the world. And then movement has become even more articulated in different ways for me as I've kind of adapted movement as my mantra. So I love to travel. I kind of mentioned that. And movement throughout the world is a big part of what I love to do and I love to explore. And then movement has also become this growth-oriented mindset for me, because mindset, I think, is really, really huge.
I think mindset is everything.
Yeah.
So speaking about the love of traveling, so when you travel, what kind of things you see in people overseas or any country you are, that what they are doing is compared to the people doing in the United States? Like in a sense, like are they moving? Because European countries are basically are established or built like to walk and all that. But in US, of course, we love our cars. We love our big cars. So that's why we just drive everywhere.
Yes.
So what's the big difference you see between those countries and our country?
Yeah. So many differences. And then it also depends on the area too. Like Europe is so different from Asia, right?
Yeah.
So within Europe, like you said, there's so many people there. They've been there for a long time. And so the cities are built for people to walk from place to place. And there's public transportation. So even if live outside of the city, you still have to walk to the bus stop to get the bus or get the train and then walk from the train station to your house. Everywhere you go, there's these little corner stores. Every time I travel in Europe, there's not these big, massive grocery stores that you go to and you buy groceries for a week or two, like a Sam's Club or Costco or something. There are these little corner stores, and people go get their food daily, and they walk down to the little corner market or the farmer's market that's there. So there's just these bits and pieces of movement that are so much more built into their systems. I have friends that live on the third floor in really old buildings, in Portugal, and you have to walk up a lot of stairs with a lot of things, and there's no elevator. So, it's one of those things that I think it's just built into the society and the way that society's structured. And then when I've traveled in Asia, like in Thailand and Vietnam, Cambodia, India, the people have to move so much more. Like I remember I was at a friend's wedding in India this past year, and they had some people that were cooking, the family cooks, and they come, and this 85-year-old man is sitting in a squat for hours, and sitting, standing. And he's doing, he probably did like 500 squats in a day because he's like crouching in a like a malasana squat in yoga, kind of stirring pots and cooking things and standing up and getting stuff and moving, 50-pound bags of flour and things. And they're just so functional. So it's a necessity for them, but it also allows them so much more longevity within their movement. So I'm always constantly inspired.
No, you're absolutely right, because those movement, especially in Asian countries like India or Thailand or Pakistan, these kind of countries, there is so many people, and they have a public transportation and all that, and also they don't have the obsession of cars that we do here in the United States. They like to walk, and also. So talk about the food thing. So when you travel, what's the biggest difference because basically taste-wise you feel that we are lacking in the United States and the other countries are basically doing a lot better than us?
Yeah, I do think so. I think there's just a lot more of a connection with the earth in a lot of other places. It's more locally grown, especially in more of the less developed countries. People grow their food usually in their backyard, or they get it from just down the road. My friend's family, they have a farm out in the countryside, and then they bring the food into the city for several of their crops. So they have these just such a bigger tie to the earth and where they're getting their food from. And then even in Europe, a lot of times things are much more locally grown or locally produced.
So what do you mean by that, earth? So, I mean, in the United States, we grow, food here too, especially in California. Yeah. So what's the difference between, are you talking about the soil, or are you talking about, explain that earth thing? Yeah,
I think more so, the personal connection. We while the United States does grow food out, primarily in California and sort of things, a lot of times what we're consuming over here in Tennessee has traveled, hundreds of miles across the United States or the world, really, to come to us. And so we have less of a connection when we're not going to the farm and picking it ourselves, for example, or going to a farmer's market where there's a direct connection with the person who grew it. And so there's just a less of a personal connection, I would say, to the growing of the actual food and the food itself.
And I think we all also process food too much here. Mm-hmm. That's another issue because I think most of the food is like processed.
Yeah.
And I think the last time we were talking about the food, we say organic. Mm-hmm. Do we really know that it's organic or not? How we figure that out?
Yeah.
So when you do in your practice, mm-hmm. So how you dietary instructions or advice you give it to your patients between physical therapy and yoga? Do you give them some kind of a daily dietary plan or how it works?
Not with every single person. Okay. It kind of depends on what that person's particular goals are and what they're looking to do. But in general, things that I tend to cover a lot of times with people is when they are recovering from an injury, for example, protein intake and amino acids are really, really important. We need to be able to have those. They're the building blocks of muscle and tissue, and we need to be able to have enough availability of good protein sources to be able to help our body recover from some sort of injury. I also talk about, inflammation and some different ways that we can maybe help reduce inflammation overall. But I will say that every person is very different. Like we all have very different reactions to different food types. And so I could say this food is a great anti-inflammatory thing for you or me, and for somebody else it might not be. And so I think that nutrition science really is just on the very beginnings. Like we really don't know that much about it because the interplay between nutrition science and each individual person is so different. I mean, you're
absolutely right, because I think like turmeric. Mm-hmm. Turmeric is also says anti-inflammatory if you have any kind of but it doesn't work on everybody.
Yeah.
And I think last time I told you about my banana habit.
Yeah, that's right.
So the banana for me is like a sleeping pill.
Yeah.
So because it has a melatonin in it and a vitamin A and then a little bit sugar in it. Mm-hmm. So it works like magic to me. I mean, when I tell people, hey, I eat banana before I go to bed, 1 hour before to bed, and it makes me sleep really good.
Yeah.
And they just look at me and said, are you really? This guy is really crazy. Banana.
Yeah.
And
I had not heard that before, honestly.
yeah. And it just works with me.
Yeah.
So I guess, like you were saying, that every patient or everybody is totally different.
Yeah.
They have to. So when you advise some kind of food, inflammation or anything like that, do you advise like certain food, or you just say, hey, whatever works best for you kind of thing? What kind of or you give them some kind of a list?
Yeah. So I have say, for example, turmeric. It's a great overarching, like this is something that people know, well known to be like anti-inflammatory. Mm-hmm. So that might be something that I could recommend, or cinnamon or something like that. A lot more kind of from like a herbal standpoint. But what I will say with people is some people come to me and they say, I know that dairy is not good for me, or like I just my body does not react well to dairy. Well, obviously then that's not a great thing to suggest to somebody. Whereas for myself, like I eat a quart of Greek yogurt like every other day. So, I eat a lot of dairy. And it's just fine for me. So every person is very individualized, and I just have conversations with people, honestly, and try to figure out what works best for them.
Yeah. So what do you see the vision of your movement mantra in next 5 years? Where you want to see your the practice, and also the one misconception that people have about physical therapy, how you debunk that? Yeah.
So I guess I'll debunk and then I'll 5-year plan. So physical therapy, a lot of times, there's two things that I always hear. One, like, oh, so you do massages. Like, okay, yeah. I'm not a massage therapist. Yes, we can do manual therapy, but that is not the goal. And especially for my individual practice, I'm much more movement focused. So I don't do a ton of manual therapy because I really want to empower the person to be able to know. I always say, like, I'm building a toolbox for them, that I want that person to feel empowered, that they have the tools in their toolbox and they don't need to come to see me. Like, ideally, we give them that toolbox and they're good to go. So that's one misconception, is that we just like rub on people. Number two is that, you know, you can only go see a physical therapist if you have a referral from a doctor or if you've just had a surgery. And that is something that I think is a big detriment to, society, really. But then, because we have such a wealth of knowledge, and Tennessee has the ability for people to come see physical therapists without a doctor's recommendation.
Like, meaning there's no insurance kind of requirement or anything?
So there's two kind of forms. One, at myself, I'm a cash-based therapist. Anybody can come to me for any amount of time because I'm not billing insurance. So they can come without recommendation from a doctor, and they can see me for as long as possible. In an insurance-based clinic, you can go for, I believe it's 4 to 6 weeks without getting a doctor's note. But then at that 4 to 6 week mark, if you still want to have your insurance be paying for it, then you'll have to get some sort of written doctor, go see your doctor to be able to have them to recommend more therapy for you. So that's one of the reasons I love being a cash-based therapist, or self-pay model, basically, is that there's no limitations. Insurance isn't limiting anybody for how long they can see me and what they can see me for.
Okay.
Yeah.
And your vision?
Oh, vision, yes. So I have a lot of visions.
Let's talk about your movement mantra right now.
Movement mantra. So movement mantra, ultimately, I really I'm actually currently working on an online offer. And so I'm working on creating this online offer that is going to be, again, even more holistic in everything that I'm doing. Because right now I coach people in person. I have the physical therapy practice in person. I have all of these kind of bits and pieces, but I want to be able to put them all together into one concrete offer that I can then also do through virtually. And so in 5 years, I also really want to be able to travel. So that's another big thing. So ultimately moving a little bit more into the online space while I'll still keep the in-person practice and do that. In the 5 years, I really want to have a group and then a team within an online space working to address the nutrition, address the movement components from a physical therapy standpoint, from a training standpoint, and then really address the lifestyle that needs to be the lifestyle habits and systems that need to be implemented to actually make it sustainable. Because that's the biggest thing that I've found, is that while as a physical therapist or as a coach, I can give the person the exercise that they should do that is going to be great for them, or the best workout plan or the best nutrition and diet. But if they don't have the habits and systems in their life to actually implement that as a lifestyle, then ultimately things won't change. Maybe there's small change at the beginning, but they'll go back and fall back on the habits and systems that are baseline for them. So that's the biggest thing that I've seen from my practice as a physical therapist, and in the coaching world, nutrition coaching, fitness coaching, etc., is that people don't understand how to actually create a lifestyle through habits and systems. And so that's really where I want to take Movement Mantra and create that system for people.
So being online, do you think is gonna be, this is just, I'm asking you, some kind of a disadvantage for people who wants to be seeing you or see you doing the things in front of you rather than on the screen? Because sometimes, for me, it's a human connection kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So for me, half of the healing is basically for the therapist who's basically present there, and the energy and all that.
Yeah.
do you think it will take away that, or is not going to affect anything like that when you're doing online kind of thing, especially the yoga?
Yeah.
I mean, yoga is, of course, these are the movements too. But, when I think about yoga, I think about I'm going to the place, I have a mat and I have the instructor in front of me, and she or he is doing this kind of a thing.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think that it depends, right? It depends on the person. It depends on, for a lot of people, like getting something done at all is way better than the ideal. So yes, maybe there's an ideal version of this where it's in person. But I think for most people, if they can get good enough in all of those areas, then that will be exponentially better than nothing.
Nothing. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right.
So that's kind of the way that I view it. And then I do have a vision. I think this could be in the next 5 years. We'll kind of see how things evolve. But I 100% agree with you. Human connection is a huge thing for me. And I have other side projects that I'm working on that all have to do with connection. And I'm working on building Movement Mantra as a community, really. Mm-hmm. And that community and connection is huge. Ultimately, I would love to be doing in-person retreats. So taking the Movement Mantra concept and bringing it into a space, molding it with the travel that I love to do, bringing people into a new physical space, because I think that when we get out of our kind of normal context of the day, we're able to kind of see and have a more open mind and absorb things a little bit better, because everything is new. And so being able to take that and then create like a Movement Mantra retreat style where there's learning and there's growth and there's interaction and there's movement, there's human connection and community, and then take those principles that are really formulated within that retreat style and help people implement that back and take it home with them. So that's kind of a bigger goal that I have for myself.
So also, I think you're thinking about, and like you said, you want to travel more. So mm-hmm. I guess that's part of the freedom too, because if everything is online, which of course, as you know, the world is going, everything is digital now.
Yeah.
So doing that, I think it's a great idea. It's a great concept. Some people is going to take a little time to adopt that because, but so let's go back to the love of food too. Mm-hmm. I know you have a love of traveling, but you have a love of food too.
For sure.
So do you have any dietary, like some kind of a list that you do for yourself, or you just basically, there's people who just count calories.
Yeah.
Which I think you are not that one.
No.
Yeah, because you're a runner.
Yeah.
So how you maintain the balance in your diet?
Yeah. So there's a couple, my brain goes to 1,000 different things of how to talk about this. But I guess core concept wise, I think about the nutrition that I'm eating whenever I'm creating a plate for myself or a meal of some sort, right? Mm-hmm. Is that I always start with my protein. What is my protein source? And then what is my like vegetable or fruit, some sort of like fiber kind of component? What's a complex carb, or it could be a simple carb actually. When I'm running and training a lot, I actually need more fast digesting carbohydrates. So what's the carbohydrate that I'm getting? And then where is there like healthy fat throughout the diet? So I have a saying kind of, I heard one person say this a while ago and I've kind of adopted it, but fats find you. So,
that's a good,
fats find you. So a lot of times, there's olive oil in the cooking that we're making, or maybe oils in the meats, or, avocados or nuts and seeds that are added to different things. So, I don't necessarily...
Banana?
Bananas, not too much fat in bananas. But if you put peanut butter on it, then yes. But that's how I kind of think about from a structural standpoint of how I eat. And I will say that I was a lot more strict with myself during various periods of times as to what that looked like, and only eating super clean foods. Now it's
Explain. Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt
no,
you.
you're good.
But you just said the key word here, super clean food.
Yeah.
What does that mean for the people who are listening?
Yes. So when I think of a clean food, I think of something that is minimally processed. So you could almost think about basically the perimeter of the grocery store. So if you go into a grocery store, usually on the outside, you've got, your fruits and vegetables, your bulk food items. You have your deli kind of area, your meats that are kind of your raw meats that are in the back or seafood. And then you have your dairy along the edges. It's kind of the basic layout of any grocery store. And so those generally, we're in the US, there's processed food everywhere. But generally speaking, those are going to be the areas where you're going to find quote unquote clean foods and or minimally processed, where you're doing more of the processing, you're doing the cooking, you're doing the combination of the foods. So that's kind of what I think of as clean. Whereas something that's more processed would be you're in the freezer section and there's a bunch of pre-made meals. So I will say that there's always a balance for people. And I use the principle 1% better from Atomic Habits all the time with people. And, if eating a frozen dinner that's got better macros and has higher protein, lower fat, better carbohydrate source, but it's still a frozen meal, is what that individual can do, and they're not eating a pizza every night, then perfect. That's where we're going to really start. So I make things approachable for people, because so many times I think I get these situations where people are like really gung-ho about making lifestyle change, and then they get completely overwhelmed by, I have to eat clean, and now I have to do this, and I have to make all my food now. I never made any food before ever. And so I really think that it's important for us to find the middle ground for people and help approach it in a way that people can actually do sustainably.
So do you think that mostly people, do you cook at home? Or?
I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So people who trying to lose weight, when they go to the grocery store, what do you recommend them to basically look for? I know you mentioned a little bit, but if somebody is trying to lose weight and they want to go to the grocery store, because when I go to the grocery store when I'm hungry, I'm buying junk.
Don't worry, it happens to all of us. We are all guilty of that.
So if someone trying to lose weight, what kind of basically the food not a food section, but what kind of a food they need to be buying and cooking at home, like in a nutrition way,
Yeah. So I kind of just go to the outside perimeter. Those are the biggest things. So say for me, example, if I'm going into the Food City that's right down the road here, I'm going to go in and I'm going to first go through the vegetable and fruits aisle. So I'm probably going to pick up apples, bananas. Those are two of my staples for fruit. Maybe something is fresh during the seasons, but apples and bananas are staples for me. I pick up a bag of mixed greens or spinach, something like that. Maybe some zucchini and bell peppers. And then I go around and I pick up some chicken, salmon, maybe if there's on sale like beef or pork, then I get that as well, whatever is there, but fresh. And then I go and I get almond milk. I use like a high protein lactose-free milk in some recipes that I use, so I'll get that. And then cottage cheese and Greek yogurt. And I've just told you my weekly grocery list. That is literally what I buy every single time.
Almond milk. First of all, that's why they hide the vegetables and fruit on the back. It's not in the front. Everything is in the front. It's junk.
Candy in the front. It's like cookies.
So the almond milk, do you think it's better than the regular milk, nutrition-wise and?
Not necessarily. It depends on the person. So if dairy is an issue, then I would say yes, it's going to be a better option. If almond milk, if it's sweetened and or I would say almond milk specifically unsweetened, whether it's vanilla or regular, but unsweetened is good. If you're getting the normal kind, it's going to be worse than regular milk because there's a lot of added sugar into that. So I usually always get unsweetened. It's lower in calories, but it's also lower in protein. So if milk is a good source for maybe a younger kid or something to get a protein source, then I would say that the normal milk is better. So it's all about what the purpose of the food is meant for. For me, I use the almond milk I have like this, it's called a Ninja Creamy, but it makes ice cream. You make these like recipes and then you like blend, it's a special blender and it makes like ice cream. But it's lower calorie. I put protein powder in it. It makes it high protein. So for the purpose of that, and then also I like the taste of it in my coffee. I like the way that it tastes in my coffee. So I use it for that. There's a purpose for everything. So I don't like labeling things good or bad or better or worse because there's so many different aspects to it.
No, you're right, because something good for me might not be good for you.
Exactly. If somebody's allergic to almonds, you're not going to give them almond milk.
You're right.
Yeah.
So, night snacks. So, for me, I'm big on night snacks.
I mean, I like to night snack too, which
So
sometimes is a problem.
what's the healthiest snack you would recommend?
So if you can do dairy, two of the best things are cottage cheese and Greek yogurt because they have the highest amount of casein protein. And so casein protein is going to be kind of a more slow digesting protein, and it's going to be more of an even release. And when you have a food like cottage cheese or Greek yogurt that does have carbohydrates in it, but it also has a very high percentage of protein, you're not going to be getting the like glucose spikes and like insulin spikes that could potentially lead to, that kind of dip and waking you up in the middle of the night. So,
no ice cream?
So I make a special type of ice cream. I make a Ninja Creamy ice cream, and it has casein protein powder in it, almond milk, and like some sugar-free vanilla pudding mix or whatever for the texture.
Well, I need to get a recipe from you.
Yeah,
then.
I'll give you the recipe for sure. It's so good.
Really, yeah.
I eat like a pint of ice cream every night.
I love ice cream.
Yeah, it's my vice.
And at night, that's the one thing I crave the most. And I'm trying to like control myself. Okay, yeah, maybe no, it's too late. It's no. I think I can have maybe one bar of chocolate or something.
Yeah,
like that. That's why I ask you, what's the healthiest snack?
So that I eat a pint of ice cream every night with this recipe. It's 222 calories. It's 25 grams of protein, 15 carbs, 1 gram of fat. Like it's great. I'll share it with you. The other thing that I used to eat before the Ninja blenders came out with this special machine, was I would take Greek yogurt and I put a little bit of sugar-free like chocolate pudding mix in it with unsweetened cocoa powder and stevia. And then I would mix that up and put it in the freezer. And then I would take it out, 10, 15 minutes later. And it would be kind of this somewhat frozen mousse yogurt thing. And I've eaten that as a nighttime treat for years. And again, it's like 200 calories, 30 grams of protein, great nighttime snack.
Okay, well,
before
you need to give it to me on that recipe. So let's talk about food. We were talking about food now. So what do you think that we could, because as you know, 70% Americans are overweight.
Yeah.
And we're living in the most beautiful and the richest country in the world, at least on paper.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So what do you think that our, people, forget about the government because they don't do anything.
Yeah.
So what can people do to improve their health and wealth, kind of, not the wealth actually, because I'm in wealth management, so I'm just...
Well, health is wealth, and I will say that. I tell people that health is wealth, because if you cannot like provide your body with the things that it needs, then there's no way you're ever going to be able to show up to actually like pursue a career or be able to like do the things that you want. So, yeah.
No, you're right, because I think last time you were talking about, I told you that your mental health and your physical health, if it's not aligned to each other, then if I'm giving you $100 million mean nothing to you.
Yeah. Yep.
And because, I think I gave you the code too, that, we basically do everything. Oh, we're going to do this tomorrow. We're going to do this tomorrow. But tomorrow, of course, is not guaranteed.
100%.
Yeah. I mean, we don't know. We cannot change the past.
Yeah.
We don't know what's the future hold. All we got is today.
Yep.
And then we keep piling tomorrows again and again. There's Meredith Wilson quote, famous quote,
Yeah.
that, we pile up so many tomorrows. At the end, we find out there's nothing left, a bunch of empty yesterdays.
Yeah.
So whatever we need to do today.
100%.
So that's why I was like, if we want to change something, maybe we can start change, like you were talking about with the atomic habits, 1%.
Yeah.
So if someone trying to lose weight right now, what would you recommend that to change 1%? What that 1% would be?
So I will do this kind of within the first kind of evaluations or conversations that I have with people, especially that do my online coaching, the holistic package, because this is 6 months. I work together with people for 6 months on basically completely revamping their life. And we do an audit and looking at, what are your daily habits right now? What are you actually eating right now? We can't change anything unless we have data first. So I think that actually getting really clear on what's happening is one of the first things that we really need to do to actually then make any change, because we can follow the latest TikTok person that says, this is the thing that's going to, make your health be better. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe for somebody, but maybe not for you. Yeah. Again, it all comes down to being super individualized, right? And so a self-audit, whether you do that with yourself, whether you sit down with a coach or whatever it is, look at what actually is happening. And then from there, we take the things that are the most easily achievable. What is the simplest? If somebody's drinking drinks a Coca-Cola a day, an easy thing to do is to remove that and or switch it out for Diet Coke, right? So even though Diet Coke might not be good either, or, there's debates on all of this. If somebody's looking to lose weight, if that is the goal, then the calories are going to be more important in the immediate kind of realm with that. So we're going to immediately knock out 220 calories of pure sugar by taking out the Coke
soda, yeah,
and replacing it with maybe water would be great, but maybe something else. So it's that one thing.
Yeah, no, you're right. So I mean, do you know that in one can of soda, 250 ml, and the can has 16 teaspoons of sugar?
Yeah.
And when I read that, I said, "Oh my God!" And people drink like a water.
They drink the big jugs of them, huge. Mm-hmm. And
also, like you said, I mean, Diet Coke. It sounds like we are doing there's no sugar, but there is sugar in it. Mm-hmm. And people say, "Well, I'm eating salad or eating some kind of a healthy meal, but I'm gonna drink Diet Coke because it's gonna do." I mean. Sometimes I just, shake my hands. I said, you're eating so many calories and then you're drinking Diet Coke that is going to change. Well, at least, know.
And then at least if that person was drinking a Coke and now they switched to Diet Coke, there's the difference, right? But so now maybe somebody's drinking Diet Coke and they have all of these calories they're eating out. I mean, another simple one in the United States is when, we have such huge portion sizes at most restaurants here. So sometimes, I have told people, just order the food and order a to-go box at the very beginning. Split the meal in half, put half of the meal in the to-go box, and it's out of sight, out of mind. And then eat half of the meal. That's probably maybe even still more than we need, honestly, depending on the restaurant you go to. But it's a good way because we are also really conditioned where we have a plate, we need to finish it. And I fall into that all the time too. And so if you automatically just put half of the meal away, then you can have that for leftovers for, dinner tomorrow or something.
No, that's a great idea, actually. I think I'm going to start doing that.
Because,
there you go. So I grew up in a culture that you have to clean your plate because you cannot throw food or waste food.
Yeah.
So this is, I grew up in like that. Now I feel like I should not clean the whole plate. Or, like you said, the portions.
Right.
I think I'm going to start doing that now.
There you go.
So, yoga. Mm-hmm. If you wanted to do a yoga anywhere in the world, what would be that places? Because you're a traveler, you travel the world.
I really want to go to the northern region of India and do yoga because that's like there's a really big practice, especially like the Ashganda practice in India. I have a big interest to go there. I got my 200-hour certification in Thailand, which was absolutely beautiful and phenomenal, and I loved it. And I would definitely go back there. But if I'm going someplace new, it would definitely be to kind of that northern region where the Dalai Lama is in India. Yeah.
So again, any misconception about yoga you like to debunk?
Yeah, I think one thing that I hear from people a lot of times is that they avoid it for like religious purposes. And they, feel that there's like some sort of kind of like religious cult behind it where anything can become a cult, honestly. So it's like, that just goes without saying. It's like, but I think what people maybe discount is that the movement practice of yoga is ancient and people have been doing it for centuries. And the movement practice is so important. And it's a combination of the breath with the strength of holding postures and the stability and mobility. And then you also have this mindfulness component that really comes in, of course, as like the movement meditation component. And I think people also think meditation and they think super woo-woo or whatever. But to me, meditation can be so many things. It can be the quiet time that you just sit. It can be, we kind of talked about that. And it can be, for me, sometimes my running is my movement meditation. Like I'm just, processing and just, I need to be moving. And so I think people kind of have this misconception about yoga and it's tied into meditation and having some sort of, like religious component that, they don't want to necessarily be involved in or they think has some other alternative motive. But it's really about the movement practice, the breath practice, and the awareness practice, and all of those things coming together. We just really are able, when you're able to tap into your body and actually understand how things feel, you're much more attuned outside to be able to observe and kind of create the space between when something kind of like an action and a reaction, essentially. And I think that I've kind of talked about this with a couple of different people recently, is that mindfulness is kind of that space between an action and then whatever the reaction to it is. So we can kind of hold that a little bit easier.
No, yeah, great. Speaking about cult, you're absolutely right. Anything can be cult nowadays.
Yeah, 100%.
My mentor used to say the leadership without principle is basically a cult.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah, because if you have a leadership, there's a leader that you follow or something, and that person does not have any principles.
Yeah,
it's a cult.
Yeah, definitely.
So Libby's healthiest snack on the go.
Healthiest snack on the go. Well, I carry in my lunchbox with me. Usually I always have a protein bar of something because it's simple and easy. And there's so many out there, whatever suits your fancy. Just looking for ones that are, if you're more plant-based, then go with that. If you can do anything else, one that just feels good to you, sits on your stomach well. And then 2, I carry Greek yogurt with me and apples everywhere. Like I when I tell you we eat like a quart of Greek yogurt nearly every day, I'm not lying. I actually taken to making my own yogurt because I eat so much of it. So I found it was much cheaper for me to make my own yogurt.
So yogurt because you love that yogurt, or there's some kind of dietary like benefits. I mean, I know there's yogurt, of course, there's the benefits, but
yeah, both.
Both.
Both is the easy answer. I love the way it tastes. I love yogurt just in general. I think you can do so many different things with it. And then also, it's high protein. You have probiotics. It sits well on my stomach, and that's something that I've had to find like the things that really work well for me. And just like everybody else has to kind of figure that out. A couple years ago, I took a test called Viome, and it's a company that does a blood, spit, and stool test, and it tests all of these different like reactivity from like inflammatory markers to like microflora and all of these things in reactivity to like 300 or 400 different foods. And then it gives you a reading essentially of foods that are your quote unquote superfoods. So things that maybe either are lacking in your diet and you really need and or your body would definitely benefit from. And then it has an enjoy category where it's things that work well with your systems, don't cause too much inflammation or reactivity from like a microflora standpoint. And then there was minimize and avoid foods. And so I had my various share of gut issues, and I was like I eat a lot of really clean foods, but I would eat a ton of vegetables that some were actually not doing well for my particular stomach, which I love all vegetables. Really, maybe I'm weird, but I love Brussels sprouts. I love asparagus.
Yeah, me too.
I love those types of things, but those foods that were higher on the FOD map, which is like highly fermentable foods, if people are familiar with that, those were causing me like a lot of bloating and like digestive issues just in general. So when I started to eliminate those and I started to go off of what my individual reading was from this particular test, it made a world of difference. And funny enough, like yogurt and dairy were good for me. And I've had friends who I've had take it because they saw what a difference it made for me, and their reads are completely different. And so again, it just comes back to that individual component.
So superfood, we talk about that.
Yeah.
People who not familiar with superfood, what are those superfood? I mean, there's some kind of like plant-based food we're talking about, or?
I mean, generally, we think of superfoods as plant-based foods, and superfood doesn't have like a highly technical definition. I don't believe like it's not like, statistically there's this percentage of the vitamins and da-da-da. There's no like, specific thing. But generally when we think about a superfood, or at least from my perspective, it's something that has a high amount of quality nutrients that we really need. So that might be spirulina for B vitamins. Or it could be, it could be salmon for omega-3s. So it doesn't have to be purely plant-based. It could be chia seeds for omega-3s as well, and fiber. Or, there's all number of these different things, vitamin C,
So high
basically
into fiber and antioxidant and all that kind of, we usually don't eat nuts on a regular basis kind of thing in our diet, I think, in most Americans, I think. But especially in Middle East, the nuts, I don't know if you've been to Middle East or not.
Oh, yeah, I've traveled a lot.
Yeah, so, they eat nuts a lot, meaning like, walnuts and almonds and all that kind of a thing. And also their habit is like a tea, like a green tea. That's, especially in Iran, what they do is basically they have almonds, cashews, and raisins. And they sit down, that's their snack. And they're talking and they're eating those things while drinking their tea.
Yeah.
And I think I try to do that. And I said, I don't think I can do that. I'm so much into this, like, ice cream and this and that kind of a thing. So
we kind of have to like cleanse our palate of the sugar, because or at least the like very processed sugar, because the sweetness has been so dialed up in everything. And it's funny, like you look at the back of a packaging. I bought tomato sauce from the store without looking at the ingredients. And normally I do. I guess I just like pick something up quick. And I was making something with the tomato sauce. I was like, why does it taste so sweet? And I look at the sugar. There's sugar in the back of this. I'm like, you go in a lot of other places, we have to specifically buy things that say no added sugar on them in the U.S. Otherwise, you could pretty much assume that there's added sugar in it, because it's highly palatable. It's addictive in a lot of ways. Well, it is addictive. They've shown that. And it's like one of those things where it's like, peanut butter, why does peanut butter have sugar in it? But it does. Most everything in the American processed foods has sugar in it. And you'll go to other countries, you'll see the same food. It'll be from the same brand or whatever, and it's actually made differently. One, because they tailor it to different palates, and two, because they have different regulations around things. But generally, there's no added sugar in the same brand you buy it in the US.
And I think in America, we use a lot of high corn fructose.
High fructose corn syrup.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce the word.
Yeah.
But in other countries, it's all sugar cane. So when you go out of United States, if you drink Coke, it tastes different.
Yeah.
Because they pure sugar cane. And here, of course, there's
It's like highly processed corn syrup.
corn syrup. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, so physical therapy, yoga, and nutrition. So if you have to choose one career, or not a career, one, let's say if you have to choose one option between these three, what's your choice would be? Physical therapy?
You can't make me choose. You can't make me choose. This is why I work for myself, because I couldn't choose.
Yeah.
I worked in an insurance-based field for, well, I only lasted 7 months. I worked as a travel physical therapist out in Washington State, and I made it 7 months. And I said, this is absolutely awful. I hate this. I loved the travel part, hated the job. And no, I wouldn't last. I think out of all of those, if you made me choose between each one of those, then I probably would say, forget it all. I'm going to be a travel photographer.
Oh, okay. Okay. So yeah, there's another part in you. Yeah, that's another. Okay.
Yeah,
and also, actually, earlier you mentioned that you are learning a dance too now. Salsa dancing, correct?
Yeah, salsa and bachata, the Latin dances mostly. Yeah.
So what you got you into dancing now?
Yeah, so I've always, as I was kind of saying earlier, I've always loved dance. Even when I was a little kid, we were watching, these home videos this past Christmas, and I'm dancing away. And my mom put me in all of these sports, like soccer and stuff that I hated. And so I've always loved to dance. And actually, when I found yoga, to me, that was the most similar thing that I had found to dance. And I think that's one of the reasons that I really loved it. Like, a good playlist and you're just kind of flowing and vibing on the mat. Like, that was, for me, the kind of vinyasa flow was a style of dance almost that I kind of really made me helped me fall in love with yoga as well. But it's always been a goal of mine. And so about a year ago, actually, I met a friend and they're like, yeah, you should. I had wanted to, actually, you know what? I can back up even more than that. It's a year and a half ago, I was in Morocco traveling. And I was on a rooftop, and two of my very good friends that live in Portugal, they'd been taking bachata lessons. And on this rooftop in Morocco, they turned on music. They were like, let me show you what we've been doing. And I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like so much fun. So they gave me my first lesson in bachata a year and a half ago on a rooftop in Morocco. And so I came home and I was like, had a lot of things that happened from that trip and like epiphanies and kind of things that were changing in my life at that point. And I was like, I really want to learn to dance. Like, I really came back with this renewed vision that I really wanted to dance. And so I found a friend and he kind of showed me some different things at some of the socials and started to meet some people. But then this past January, I was like, okay, this is my gift to myself. I'm going to give myself lessons for a year, and I'm committing for a whole year to do this for myself. So January, I started taking lessons at a local place, G2G Salsa, and absolutely fell in love with it. I was way over my head, but in March I went to Atlanta for a salsa bachata festival, which is basically, or sometimes they call them congresses. It's basically workshops all day of dancing and then evening socials where you dance from 12 till 6 in the morning. And
oh, wow. I didn't even know that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a whole thing. And there I met two girls who live in Chattanooga, actually, and I had seen them at some of the socials here, but I hadn't really ever met them. And we got talking, and we're like, oh, you're here? Oh, you're here? You're from Chattanooga? And got talking, and we're like, we really need to, maybe coordinate more so there's more places for people to dance. And so we sat down at Odd Story over here, local brewery, and we started talking about it, and it just started with a WhatsApp group. This was of March of this year, 2025, and started to add people to it. It started to grow really fast, and people were interested in this. And so we're like, well, there's not that many opportunities to really dance in Chattanooga. We're having to coordinate to go to Knoxville or go to Atlanta. And so, well, why don't we just do a social here? Mm-hmm. And so we started planning, and in April we put on our first social dance, and My friend's boyfriend DJs, and so he DJs. They teach salsa, and my friend Kailina, other co-founder, teaches bachata. And the first one we had 65 people come to. Every single one we've had more and more. This past September, our social had 95 people at it. And
wow, it's growing.
And our WhatsApp group is over 200 people at this point. And that's in 6 months. So there's a need for it and a want for it.
So before we wrap this up, so talking about your dancing thing, do you think that you're going to incorporate this dancing thing in your movement mantra too in the future?
I think that everything comes together. So I guess there's one other final thing that I kind of would like to touch on. And
yes,
it's
please.
So there's another component of movement mantra and all of these things going together in a new community and meetup that I've started called the Human Health Collective. And so the Human Health Collective is a monthly meetup and really trying to create more community as well within this of healthcare professionals, wellness professionals, and then general population of people who are interested in health and wellness, learning more, and creating community around that. And so, and I'll kind of see how I'll put all these things together. But with the Human Health Collective, as we've kind of talked about here today, like you asked me a lot of questions about, well, what's the best thing for this, or what's the best thing? And my answer always is it's the person, it's for the individual, right? It's so individual. And so we have all of these siloed practices or people or ways of thoughts, and people are going to say, no, this is the best thing for this, or this is the best thing for that. And what I really wanted to do was create a space where we could come together and have more productive conversations around health and wellness from the medical side, from the wellness side, the movement, the nutrition, everything coming together, and allow the population to come in and ask these questions and get answers from different people and hear different ways of thinking rather than just like relying on that one person on TikTok that said XYZ thing.
I think it's a very excellent idea.
Yeah.
Because I think what I gather from you is you are more focused on a person rather than a treatment kind of thing, I think. The body 100%. Or the person. Yeah.
Yeah. The human first. It really has to be individual first, because while we can have frameworks and things to kind of like overlay on top maybe, and that there's basic structures for, basic principles like gravity that we need to pay attention to. Yeah. But there's so many things that are very individualized. And like I kind of said before, nutrition science, body science is just very on the cusp. Brain science, like we're just learning so much year after year, and there's new ways of thinking and new things that we're learning about how we function as humans. And I think that, it's only a detriment to ourselves to put us in a box and say, no, this is the system, because there's so many ways that our past influence the way that we are able to accept the components of health into our life at this point. And there's just so many moving parts that to not address the whole person is just a detriment to.
I think everything is connected, of course, you know, with your health, your mind, your body, your nutrition, your movement, and all that.
Yeah.
Everything is connected. So before we, end this, do you have anything that you like to share that's some kind of a misconception about yoga? I know we talk about that, nutrition or physical therapy. Anything that you like to tell our audience, hey, this is not the way you think regarding, physical health or, movement or something like that?
Yeah, I think it actually kind of ties back to the quote that you said of like, a bunch of, tomorrows.
Piling up a bunch of tomorrows, yeah.
Empty yesterday, right? But it really is and if you kind of tie it back to the wealth component, is the investment in yourself.
That's the biggest investment.
It's the biggest investment you can make, because I tell this to people a lot, is like the compounding interest like you would have within a financial, from a financial standpoint, goes for the physical as well. And every moment that you spend, every 1% better adds up. Everything that you can do is giving you years back at the end of your life, and good years, right? A lot of times we think, I don't want to live I hear people say this, I don't want to live to be that old because I won't be able to do anything. It's like, well, why are you saying that?
Yeah.
You can 1000% be doing the things that you want to be doing, but it starts now. And I think that people don't value the investment in their health like they value the investment in their, cars,
in their
things,
phone.
like everything else.
Yeah.
It's so important. And so I think that's the biggest thing, and asking for help. I mean, we hire financial advisors. We hire, we hire all sorts of people to do different things for us. And so, but I think when it comes to health, people think they're like, oh, it's my body. Like I should just know. And some things are intuitive, but a lot of people didn't go to school for health and study it for years, And I think that just even investing in like a little bit of time to start to really understand. I mean, I would say we're always learning and, you continue to invest. But I think just even scratching the surface can show so much benefit to people. And I think that's the biggest misconception is they're like, oh, they think that health is just about weight loss or just about this. And it can be. And I mean, obviously being a healthy weight is part of it. But it's so much more than that. It's like you said, the mental, the physical, the, kind of spiritual, communal aspect of health. And it really goes a lot deeper. So I guess that's maybe kind of my overarching, goes along with everything else that I say, but it's really kind of the biggest
takeaways.
component.
Yeah. No. So people who try to find you, where they can find you, how they connect with you. Yeah.
So on Instagram, I'm Movement Mantra PT. I'm on Facebook, Libby Schwartz. You can find me there. And then I actually am creating and have created a new community online called the Movement Mantra Mastermind. And so in that, it's a private Facebook group that if people want to join, that they're welcome to apply to it. But in there, we're going to be kind of really diving into these topics. And I'm going to be having more focused involvement with people who are in that group, who are showing a concerted effort to better themselves. And so that's kind of where I'm moving.
Do you have a website?
Yes, and movementmantrapt.com.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're gonna actually
all the links.
We're gonna actually put all that information on the screen. And then Libby, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed our conversation.
No, I did too. And before you go, you need to give me the recipe.
I will, 100%. Yeah, I'll give you all the recipes. No worries.
Well, thank you for tuning in. And if you like this episode, please like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, we'll see you and keep seeking.